So I just left that Ankit Rambabu Evangelist in Crawfordsville, Indiana. Okay, I stayed for like 3 hours. And so I was sitting there. I was paying full attention to this guy. Of course, you know, I have a spiritual background and I know about different religions and spirituality and everything. And I was mostly going for entertainment, I'm not gonna lie. Of course, it was like Evangelist, Indian, in Crawfordsville, of all places. Let's go and see what this, what he's doing. And it's very clear, like, it's a show. Like, even he's putting on this fake accent where he's talking like kind of like a American Southern man or a Republican type voice, and he's talking like this, and it's a show. Okay, that's fine. He's quoting the scriptures, everything, and I'm just paying full attention. A little bit of inner judgment is going on, like it's so fake, and I was like, yeah, I was kind of like looking at him and kind of smiling. I was looking him straight in the eye. And at one point I gave him a little, eyebrow up and down, and he responded. And I was smiling, and my inner dialogue was going on. Like, I see through you. I see you. I see that you're putting on a show, and that, you're coming to these small towns, and and essentially it was a money grab. This is my experience of it, okay? I'm sure more was happening for whatever it is, but it was a money grab because he was talking about money and giving and this and that and this and that and this and that, preaching. And then there was a moment of the offering, and he put up his QR codes and everything. That's fine, it is what it is. You cannot crap on someone else's hustle when it comes down to it, because America, you can do whatever you want. But in God's name, I have a little problem with that. It's just, it's not even authentic God's name. It's the institution of Jesus and the Bible and this and that. And he's going around on a crusade. He literally said it. He's on a crusade. Whatever. Everyone. So my inner dialogue starts to change, and I start to think, who is this guy? Like, what is his thing? And 3 times when I was there, he crapped on India and Hinduism. 3 small little times he said, some Hindu god, some idol you're worshiping, whatever. And he cracked that there was some Indian guru with his garbs, and he called me out in one. And then he, basically 3 cracks he took at India. There was one more. He said poor Indian or some poor Chinese is, making all the clothes that we're enjoying, something like this. So I saw, okay, maybe fundamentally there's some, he has a little disdain against India for some reason or whatever. Most Indian Christians are a little like that. He's an evangelist. I don't know what category that is in the Jesus world. So then my inner dialogue, it's not, at one point when he put up the QR codes and the Zelle information, the Venmo information, and he's talking, he's on a money grab. And at one point in my head, I shouted out, in my head, not out loud, I shouted out, he's such a fraud. And I clearly start to notice that I was sitting right in the middle, like in the 4th row, and I was looking at him dead on. I was watching him like a hawk. And I started to notice, and I'm not saying this to, fan my own ego or anything, but it was clear that my attention was starting to disturb him. And there was one point where we locked eyes, and unblinking, maybe for 15 seconds. And I looked right at his third eye, and I was just penetrating him. And I was pretty much saying, I see through you. I see you. I know you're putting on, this is an act you're putting on. And, I had a little compassion at that moment. It started to change from judgment to compassion, because he's a 30-year-old guy. Of course, he's a 30-year-old kid. He's in the prime. He's in his prime. And this is somehow, he said his father was an evangelist and he got into it when he was 13. So I know he has aspirations like any other 30-year-old, man, and he has this pretty white wife who was sitting in the front row, and they're doing the tour of U.S., and he's evangelist. That's the thing. But I started to have a feeling that inside I know that, as a person, as a human, as a 30-year-old Indian boy, that he's not himself buying this whole thing, everything he's saying, everything he's going. I mean, you can convince yourself, a lot, and you can kind of live in that conviction. I understand that, but deep inside, you're putting on a show, and your mind is working, his mind is working, everybody's mind is working, and of course he's not totally buying it. So my presence there, it was definitely like not ignorant, like going there as an ignorant person. It started to disturb him, and he did a little gesture with his microphone, and he pointed kind of in the middle of the crowd just momentarily. And he has a team. Clearly he's got a team of 4 or 5 people in the hall. His team, it's a business, definitely, whatever, it's a ministry. And he kind of tagged me, and one of his guys just all of a sudden just came out of nowhere and just plopped right next to me, one of the people on his team. And it was so obvious that they sent that, he sent that signal, like, I'm a whatever infiltrator, or I'm a clearly not like some dumb Crawfordsville person who's gonna just give money. And he sat next to me. I took a selfie, I'll share it. And it was very clear that, I got flagged as a disruptor. And I didn't say a single word to nobody. I just stood there and paid him full attention. And the energy situation was created where it was very clear that I was seeing through him, and I was not buying what he was saying. And even the lady next to me, it was rubbing off on her also. She was sitting there kind of, and her energy shifted into a place of doubt, and I could just feel her kind of laughing at what he's saying, because he contradicted. I mean, I wasn't even listening to the words after a while, because he was just going on a routine. He was trying to get people, he was speaking the kind of things they wanted to hear and agree with them, and they'll make donations and everything. And he even showed a slideshow of his aspiration to have a preach at the hall in Los Angeles, California, where they perform the Grammys. So he was saying we need to get this venue, and it's $45,000 just to rent it, and the whole event will cost $1.2 million, and we need your support. And then they made a donation attempt. So that's what they're doing basically, and it's generating money, I'm sure. And he even referred to Kenneth Copeland at one point. He referenced him for something. So evangelism is like 100%. It's a money grab, and it's feeding the whole mindset in the collective mind surrounding Jesus in the Bible. It's using that, and it's fueling that and feeding that, and saying things that people agree with and that resonates with them, and then they want to support. And it's his career. He's up there in a suit, and it's almost like they're using him also, like the whole institution is kind of using him as a means to kind of propagate this. And he himself, he was born into it with his father. He said he was born into a rich Brahmin family, but his father renounced it at 18 because he found Jesus, and so he got, they had to start from scratch. So he was kind of born into it, clearly, and he's been doing it since he was 13. But it was just very interesting sitting there, and I wanted to, like I said, my mind was shouting fraud, but then it started to change. I started to get out of that judgmental mindset, because it's so obvious. Anyone with a working mind knows what's happening. Okay, it's like taking a big piece of cake, and you just take you're skimming off the top. So the whole Jesus, Bible, evangelism, Catholicism, Christianity, whatever you want to, whichever one you choose, it's a big cake, and there's a lot of cream to be taken for sure. So he's definitely doing that. But then I started to think, those people, they're not victims. If you can be convinced, and if you want to feel like you're giving and this and that, and you get into that whole zone and you give money, and this guy comes in and does it, he's kind of, I would say they're not victims. I'd say they're just stupid. You have to be really stupid to just blindly give money for something like this to fuel this guy's crusade. But see, I do have a problem. It really, when people say God, 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 he barely used the word Jesus Christ, only in a few times when he really wanted to fan the flame, of that kind of hardcore Jesus talk. Otherwise, he used the word God mostly. God this, God that. It kind of irks me. It gets under my skin when people go around using God as a means, as a money grab. It's like, it's really bad. It's the worst of it all. I mean, it's really the worst, because you're fanning a very deep need in people. And yeah, okay, they're not victims. They're ignorant, and they're sitting there and whatever. But to exploit that is just, it's not good. But that, like I said, that judgment turn from judgment to a little bit of compassion and understanding of, okay, whatever. We all have to live. We have to do some business or whatever. I came in there clearly and I started to disrupt it. Just sitting there, just looking at him, started to disrupt things, and he made a signal, and that guy sat next to me. And then when they had everybody line up and he was gonna like touch people and like heal them or whatever, people started laughing, stuff like this. I said that's time to go. And anyways, 3 hours, I got other stuff to do. So I asked Davey to close it, and I think also the woman I sat next to, I think she was also impacted by just that whole, it's just silent. Nothing happened. Like, I didn't make a move. I was even sitting there so still, but it started to disturb. And it raised some flags, and he got his people involved. I think he even took a selfie of me. I took a selfie of him right when he sat down, because I knew immediately he was a team member on his team, and I immediately just took a selfie with him just to show that you can't come here and intimidate me. And then he also took a selfie of me, and I'm pretty sure he shared it in like the group chat, like the event organizers group chat or something. I was probably flagged. So yeah, when you come in and you try to even energetically disrupt somebody's agenda, you're not gonna be too welcome. So that was my experience. I asked Davey to close it. What needed to be done, may it be done, and may Ankit Rambabu, which means son of Ram, may he live a real life, and may he be a real person, and may his aspirations get fulfilled, but not in a way that's untrue for him. That's my prayer for him. And Davey, make it complete. And I have compassion for him, and for the woman I sat next to, and his team members. May they live real lives, and may their questions cause them to seek further than where they are.